Today we're reviewing the HarmonicDyne black hole and finding out if it is indeed a black hole you should never go down. At under $100, this semi-closed back offering from HarmonicDyne contains 50mm drivers with an impedance of 32 ohm and a sensitivity of 110 decibels per milliwatt. So super easy to drive out of a mobile device. Its build quality is excellent for a headphone of its price, and it feels substantial enough in your hands while remaining light enough for long-term use. More on that in a bit. The micro suede ear cups rotate inward 90 degrees and fold down but not fully. The headband contains metal click adjustments that aren't numbered, and there are dual 3.5mm terminations on each side that feed into a single 3.5mm termination at the business end. Quarter-inch adapter included. Other than the metal adjustments, the headphone is mostly built of plastic but doesn't feel cheap at approximately 305 grams. The design of the product is rather utilitarian, but does house some interesting accents around the headband adjustments, in addition to ridges on top of the headband itself. Underneath is a presumably micro suede pad, and the outside of the cups contain HarmonicDyne's logo in addition to the words high resolution black hole hi-fi headphones and 50mm high magnetic flux dynamic driver on the bottom portion of the cup. You may be wondering, how are these semi-open headphones? There's no ventilation on the cups. Interestingly enough, the open air portion is seen on the sides and bottom of the cups, which I found rather unique like AZ. One thing I'm not particularly thrilled about is the propensity for the micro suede material to collect a ton of undesirables, specks of dust, hair, random particles of whatever, etc. It's a literal magnet for anything and everything that may be floating around, but I'm excusing it because of what we'll discuss next. Because they are pretty light, the black hole headphones are incredibly comfortable and will likely snag a spot on my most comfortable headphones of all time list. Clamping force is excellent, the top of the headband doesn't dig, and overall they are about as close to air as you can realistically expect. I haven't had to adjust them much at all, and even over longer sessions I'm not feeling the urge to rip them off for a sense of relief. They don't disappear quite as well as a Bayer, Philips SHP 9500, etc., but they feel incredible on your melon and can be worn for a long time without an issue. Unless you have ears the size of Montana, you won't have to worry about them touching. They're also fairly deep, so you won't have to worry about the drivers touching your auricles either. But if you're this guy, you may run into some issues. Silliness aside, comfort is mostly an A+. But what's up with that red-eyed bird in the photo? Looks like somebody's been eating a little bit too many weed gummies. Ugh. What a way to start out a sound section. Here I go again. You're about to hear this word a lot. To be clear, I haven't read any reviews of these, so this is all my own assessment. At this juncture, it's becoming a meme, but once again, we have entirely too much bass. At what point do companies start listening to feedback? Using feedback to make better products? Because from where I sit, they're not getting the message. If you're familiar with this blog or channel at all, you'll know that as a producer who mixes and EQs sound all day, I'm constantly harping on this point, especially lately. Let's make it real clear again. Boosting areas that should be cut, i.e. the mud/bloat regions around 200 to 300 Hz, is a recipe for a real shitty sounding headphone. Again, you cannot hear sub-bass frequencies below 40 Hz, so boosting this area is mostly useless. Again, a little sub-bass is completely fine for some added feeling, but not plus 10 dB, or whatever it is, doesn't matter. Jacking up the entire low end into oblivion makes the mid-range sound like it's drowning in a sea of actual diarrhea. Again. A properly boosted bass should roll off most of the sub-frequencies while having a bump/rise somewhere around 60 to 90 Hz, followed by a cut/dip moving into 200 to 300. Every single time. This ensures that the majority of music is going to have some life without sounding like you're listening to music inside a heavy-duty cardboard box about 59 feet underwater. You know, that place where fish live. And it doesn't matter how much the mids come back up, because if the bass is boosted higher than Jupiter, it's still going to sound like shit regardless. I don't know how many other ways I can put it. Take it from someone who has loads of experience mixing and EQing tracks, specifically hip-hop. This is not how you tune headphones. For the proper way of doing it, consult Sennheiser or AKG. Heck, James Scott Farron can tune a better headphone. Just call the Hurt line. Your ears specifically.
Call the law offices of James Scott Farron on the Hurt Line.
Their knowledge and experience may be just what you need.
In addition to that, because the bass is handled so poorly in the majority of these cheaper products, and it's even leached its way into higher end gear, the resolution is absolutely abysmal most of the time, save for some of the better/best engineered tracks. I cannot stress this enough. It's just a terrible way to construct a sound signature, and I'm not backing down from it. In any event, treble is okay, but the high end lacks sparkle and sounds a bit subdued for my liking. So yeah, the black hole is aptly named here. It's a black hole containing gobs and gobs of
Sloppy McSlopperson.
never-ending bass. In theory, these headphones should work for most genres, bass heavier stuff specifically, but they end up falling flat and sound much too bloated. This is especially problematic when you consider that a lot of hip-hop artists sometimes unintentionally or intentionally boost the bass in their mixes too much, which exacerbates an already horrible issue with headphones like these. The Meze 99 Neo is another example of a similar product that you should avoid at all costs. Moving on, they are very efficient and have a low impedance, so you can use them with a phone paired with something like a Go-Link rather easily. I also like that the cord is short-ish and seems to be built well, but I can't recommend them. For as much as I just dumped all over them, they don't sound horrible all the time. For instance, classical is somewhat listenable since the genre benefits immensely from a bit of extra bass emphasis. That said, for everything else, it's a hard no. Let me put it this way. Does a gigantic wall of bass covering everything sound like a fun time? If so, go ahead and buy them. They're only $80, but don't say I didn't warn you. You may as well just travel back in time to 2013 and grab a pair of shitty Beats by Dre bass cannons from hell. At least you'd feel like part of a movement. For people who prefer to actually hear what's going on in a track, shocker I know, those ones aren't the ones to cop. What will happen is you'll be raising the volume to compensate for the lost vocals and instruments which sound like they're being buried about 47 feet underground. If what you're looking for is clarity, this ain't it. Resolution? Nope. Separation?
Not here.
Timbre? Nah. Again, all the things that make listening with headphones a fabulous experience are conspicuously absent. The problem here is an age-old one in that these headphones remind me of something I'd find at my local drugstore in 1994. As much as I just tore into them, again, I don't doubt they'd sound perfectly fine with better tuning, but until that happens, they'll be collecting dust. In thinking it over some more, the reason I think companies still get away with this is that most people are none the wiser. Boosted bass is all they know, so they think it's good when in actuality they're missing out on everything that makes the audiophile experience worthwhile, and we've all been there. Before I started making beats, before I was introduced to good sound, I was one of those people. And until the narrative shifts and the mainstream opinion reflects an audiophile type of opinion, this is what you get. As for a semi-open or fully open headphone worthy of a purchase and in the same general price range, the K240 or SHP 9500 are some of my favorites under $100, but my main headphones are the HT6XX/K702 for a mid-fi dynamic and 400 SE $109 for a mid-fi planar. And until a company comes along and provides better headphones, those are the ones I'm using. With that, always remember to keep it dummy thick!